Welcome back to Real Story Hub, the place where true stories and unexplained experiences come to life. Before this story begins, I need to warn you about something. Some families carry memories they never speak of in daylight. These are memories so disturbing that even years later, people still lower their voices when mentioning them. Tonight's story was shared with our Real Story Hub community, and it is a chilling childhood account connected to death, a newborn child, and a presence that may have never left the house. What happened inside that old ancestral home still terrifies everyone who remembers it. And for one witness, the image they saw in the dark changed their reality forever. You might think you know how a story like this ends, but the truth is far more unsettling than a nightmare. Now, let's move to the real story. I was around 5 years old when this happened, and most of what I know comes from my own memory and the whispers of the elders. Even now, years later, no one in our family likes speaking about it for too long. At that time, we lived in our ancestral village home. As a joint family on my father's side, it was an old house with 3 massive bedrooms, a long central hall, and walls that always seemed colder at night than they did during the day. Living there were my father, my grandmother, and my uncle, all packed under one roof. When I was 4, my uncle got married, and for a while, life in the house felt peaceful. Everyone was waiting for the arrival of the new baby, but as the celebration grew, my grandmother's health began to fail. She was old, weak, and spent most of her time resting in the shadows of her room. As the months passed, she became quieter, thinner, almost like someone slowly fading into the wallpaper while still alive. When my aunt was 8 months pregnant, my grandmother died in her sleep. No one knew until morning. They found her body hours later, cold and strangely bluish in the early light. My aunt was the one who discovered her first, and her scream woke the entire house. A sound I can still hear when the wind blows through old trees after the funeral. A heavy silence settled over everything, as if the house itself was mourning or waiting for something to fill the void. A few months later, my aunt gave birth to a baby girl. The family tried to move on, and people said the child had brought life back into a place touched by death. But something about that baby felt wrong. From the time she could focus her eyes, she would stare at my grandmother's framed photograph hanging in the hall. She didn't just glance at it. She would stare for hours, long, silent, unblinking stares. Sometimes she would smile at the photo as if she recognized the person in it. Adults laughed it off, saying, "Children do strange things." But then nights became difficult. Every single night, the moment they carried her into the bedroom, she would begin screaming uncontrollably, not normal crying, terrified crying. She would choke, kick, and claw at the air until they brought her back into the hall. The second they returned to the hall, she became dead calm. It was as if she could see something in that bedroom that the adults couldn't. Something that terrified her tiny soul. Eventually, they stopped trying and moved her crib permanently into the hall, right in front of the grandmother's portrait. Then came the night no one in my family has ever forgotten. A storm hit our village after sunset. Strong winds rattled the shutters, and rain hammered the roof like fists. Before midnight, The electricity went out. The house was swallowed in total darkness because of the heat and fear of the storm. Everyone decided to sleep together in the hall. I remember lying awake under a thin blanket, listening to thunder in the distance. The only light came from occasional flashes of lightning through the windows. The baby was in her crib a few feet away. At some point, I looked toward her. She was already looking at me. I still remember her face. She wasn't crying. She wasn't sleepy. She was smiling. A wide, unnatural smile stretched across her tiny face. Her eyes were fixed on mine without blinking. I froze for what felt like forever. We stared at each other in complete silence while thunder rolled outside. Then slowly, one of her hands slipped through the side of the crib. For some reason, I couldn't look away. My eyes followed the movement of her arm downward, and beneath the crib, someone was there. My grandmother. Her face was tilted upward, pale and bluish in the darkness, smiling the same smile as the baby. Her dead eyes were open, staring directly at me from under the crib. I couldn't breathe. I yanked the blanket over my head and squeezed my eyes shut until morning. When sunlight came, I ran to my mother and aunt and told them everything. I said Grandma was under the crib. I said she smiled at me. No one believed me. They said I had a nightmare because of the storm. But for the next 2 days, I refused to go near the baby. I wouldn't touch her. I wouldn't even look at her. Then, on the 4th night, the baby died in her sleep, just like my grandmother had done months before. They found her in the morning. Her body was cold and faintly bluish. The house changed after that. My uncle moved away, and my aunt never returned to live there again. My grandmother's photograph was taken down and burned. The elders still say my grandmother never truly left that house. And when I think back to that stormy night, to the smile beneath the crib, I believe them. She didn't want a new life. She wanted to take one with her into the dark. That was today's story on Real Story Hub. Now I want to hear from you. Do you believe a spirit can claim a newborn in the family? Have you ever seen a child interact with a deceased relative in a way that didn't feel natural? Drop your experiences in the comments below. Let's see how many of you have lived through something like this. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more real stories every single day. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.